Thank you for tuning in, everyone. My name is Shahrukh Nasir, and this is On Guard for the channel that talks about solutions to the problems Canada is currently facing. Getting right into things, the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the economy of the country, and at the same time, the turbulent week we've had in Canada in terms of our leadership. We recently had our finance minister resign on the day that she was supposed to deliver the financial outlook for the next year, which certainly puts the economy and the country's appearance domestically as well as internationally in a tarnished position. Now, moving past from that, what we have to realize is we need leaders who are interested in the economy and the betterment of the country first, of Canada first, rather than people who are trying to gain some political gains for their own personal benefit. Uh, and the way I think about Canada in terms of the economy is we have to learn from our past and we have to incentivize capital where it will return a higher, it will generate a higher return than it has in the past for us as Canadians as a whole. The number one thing I would like to start this episode with is how our immigration policies need to change. There is a lot of work being done by the current immigration minister, Mr. Mark Miller, to uh, try to fix the issues that have caused the impact on immigration in the last 6 to 10 years. However, more needs to be done at a federal, provincial, and municipal level to incentivize immigrants to come to Canada who are able to provide a high value uh, contribution to Canada. What I mean by that is in the last 6 to 10 years, Canada has been focusing a lot on bringing in international students, and by not having that aligned with the scope of the economy or by the needs of the economy in terms of not only today but the future, we have produced a lot of international students, or we have trained a lot of international students with skills that are not relevant to the market. And as a result, and sadly so, these international students are working in low wage positions or positions that generate a low value product at the end. What I mean by that is across the media and across any statistical analysis you'll do about Canada when it comes to economy, you'll realize that the GDP per capita of Canada has been declining and has been stagnant and or declining over the last decade. And sadly, what that means is that the work that Canadians are doing is not highly valuable in comparison to other nations around the world. A simple example would be is if someone from our schools, international students or otherwise, happens to graduate and ends up working for Uber or a low wage delivery position or any position that doesn't necessarily uh, generate a high output, such as if they were getting trained in biotechnology and then working for a pharmaceutical company in a research and development department and producing new vaccinations, new medical uh, breakthroughs that obviously have intellectual property attached with them, which has a higher value than somebody working at as a delivery driver or as a food deliverer or at a restaurant. That is the kind of thinking that Canadian governments need to uh, adopt. That they need to understand that in order to improve the country, we need to bring in people who are highly skilled and that are going able to contribute to our occupations and industries that also at the same time result in high productivity, such as biotech, IT, uh, agri-tech, energy. There's a lot of scope in Canada about clean energy. Those types of industries definitely have a higher rate of return or higher productivity. So we need to be focusing on bringing in people from overseas that are able to contribute to industries that have a high impact in increasing our productivity. In the past, what we did was, as I said, the international student program was one way we brought in candidates who weren't uh, trained for the current and future economic needs of Canada. And at the same time, we accelerated our temporary foreign worker program to bring in a lot of low wage workers in Canada performing uh, jobs that are not highly productive in perhaps agriculture, hotel accommodation, restaurants, and things like that. So we need to look as Canadians and as a government of Canada, we need to really understand that we need to change this policy as soon as possible. What I try to do, as some of you know, I do work as an RCIC, which is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I've been doing this for the last 7 to 8 years. Prior to that, I worked in banking for the 10 years in Canada. And what I have been trying to focus on and trying to get people from overseas to focus on is either come in occupations that are going to be in on demand, or bring in business capital and investors and entrepreneurs who are able to create jobs and essentially uh, build businesses that are in these industries that generate a relatively a highly productive product or service for the Canadian market, whether that be provincially, municipality wise, or federally. That is something we need to focus on. And as a practitioner of immigration, I will tell you guys that it's much harder for entrepreneurs and business owners from across the world to integrate and to come to Canada via the current business immigration programs, as it is if they were to opt to a study permit pathway or a work permit pathway or another type of a pathway, which could even be getting a visitor visa, coming to Canada, and claiming refugee status. To me, that is very, very disappointing, because when I'm advocating for Canada overseas and people are sitting across the table from me, they suggest these options to me as entrepreneurs, and I have to tell them, look, you're an entrepreneur. Why don't you come in through the entrepreneur pathway? But since they have seen Canadian programs to be relatively more flexible for all other types of relatively lower capital and lower skilled uh, solutions, they tend to focus on those, and they at most of the times end up not working with me because somebody else can find them a cheaper, better solution, which is quicker, shorter, and faster. So Canada really needs to disengage, the province and the federal government needs to disengage in incentivizing people to come to Canada in programs that are going to invite low wage, or in other words, product output. That's the main thing here. Rather, we need to make it easier and more efficient for those who are entrepreneurs, business owners, business managers, technology oriented professionals from around the world to come to Canada, and at the same time have a program which integrates them right into the economy, because these guys are willing to put in the work, the time, the money to make Canada better. And this is what we need more than ever at this point. So that's the first point that I want to make in terms of Canada trying to fix its economy and for us to have a better future, is we really need to understand that we need to bring in high skilled uh, immigrants to this country, and we need to make it easier for them rather than make it easier for other pathways where we don't end up with a immigrant that is going to provide a high quality impact in the Canadian economy. Similarly, we need to make it easier for the professionals that came into this country to integrate into Canada. So, putting things in context, prior to 2013-14, the Canadian government, what it used to do was they had a federal skilled worker program, which would incentivize professionals to come to Canada. Most of these people would have children as well, and there were some points given to them for having a family. And what that would mean is when somebody would come into Canada as a family and as a professional, their priorities were to settle in Canada, put their kids into school, put a shelter on top of their head, try to uh, in, integrate into their profession. And that is what Canada did up until 2015, I would say, as a majority of the immigration and permanent residents it brought to Canada. After that, we switched on to this pathway of international students and temporary foreign workers, which has led to consequences that we are all suffering today, including those international students and temporary foreign workers who utilize those programs to come to Canada. So, we need to do a better job of integrating those professionals too. If we're going to bring doctors, dentists, architects, engineers into Canada, we need to set up offshore integration platforms where people can have their integration done before they come to Canada, rather than coming to Canada and having to struggle with the whole integration process, leading to social issues, leading to economic issues, and a misfit for the person who was brought in as a doctor and now is unable to work as a doctor and perhaps driving an Uber or taxi or other way, or is trying to get by with any other type of a job that is not suitable to their profession and their credentials. So that's the number one thing. We need to work on that. I hope the government also makes more changes with regards to this. I continue to hope that they focus on bringing in high wage uh, occupations and immigrants who can integrate into this society and that can make a valuable contribution. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of helping Canada become a better economy is we need to incentivize our entrepreneurs. We need to incentivize our business owners to invest in Canada and to stay in Canada and to reduce the red tape or the bureaucracy tapes or the regulatory tapes to a reasonable point. I have spoken to over three entrepreneurs in the last 2 weeks who are considering moving their businesses to the United States, given the amount of red tape and bureaucracy they have to go through in order to get the approvals that they're looking for whatever industry that they're in. We are heavily regulated in Canada in most of our industries, which is definitely a good thing, but it can also be expedited in a way that we are able to assist these entrepreneurs and facilitate these entrepreneurs in opening up or expanding their businesses. And that leads me to the next point where we have to help the existing businesses in Canada to scale so that they can compete and create high valuable jobs. We are a country that is service oriented. We need to be more manufacturer oriented towards manufacturing and exporting and things like that. And at the same time, we need to ensure that our small businesses are given the platform to grow, and therefore, by growing, what they're able to do is invest into research and development. And when you invest into research and development, you are able to then create high value products that are more valuable and which improve your economy as a whole when it comes to GDP and exports and commodities that you're trying to sell abroad or within the country. So we need to focus on helping our small businesses become bigger businesses. We have to incentivize them. We have to make our tax and corporate or whatever regulatory systems that the companies have to go through in order to expand much more efficient, so that these companies remain in Canada, scale in Canada, and hire from within Canada and grow in Canada. This is what we need to do collectively at all levels of the government and as employees, employers as well. Similarly, we need to look at what we have in terms of our resources and we need to leverage those. Canada is a powerhouse when it comes to energy. Canada is a powerhouse when it comes to natural resources. There's a lot of innovation that can happen within there. There's a lot of opportunities for exports that can happen in there. Agriculture is also a big commodity in Canada that is exported around the world. We need to look at other partners other than the USA to export this out to, and we need to do a better job of diversifying our relationship so that one country cannot hold us to the gun and make us do things that as they please. So that is something that obviously, as a Canadian, I am very, you can say, I feel deeply when another president or prime minister or whoever disrespects Canada in a way which is happening right now. Because we shouldn't be in this position. That's the main thing. And in order for us to be not in this position, we need to take active, proactive strategies that are going to help build a resilient Canada and leverage our current resources. We certainly have them. We have the human capital, we have the talent, we have the resources. It's about strategy and it's about leadership. It's about time that all of us and stand up and ask and demand this from our leaders, whether that be domestic, provincially, municipality wise, or definitely federally. So that is something that I would highly encourage all of us to do and to raise our voices to the people who are in leadership so that they can build a better, stronger Canada for all of us. And I look forward to making more videos like this so we can keep talking about solutions and keep the country collected while we go through the changes and the turbulency we are. I do think that this is obviously a stage or a period of time in Canada where If we get things in order, we will be certainly ahead in the next 10 years. We do have to go through the challenges, unfortunately, right now with our leadership and our political situation. But I guess that is growing pains, and the sooner we address those, the better Canada will be. Uh, there's a bright future ahead for this country. Canada still remains to be the number one destination for immigrants wanting to move out of their home countries for many reasons. We need to keep it like that, and but we just need to make sure the people we are bringing in from overseas are the ones who can also increase the productivity of this country. We need to do a better due diligence on them. We need to help them integrate. We need to incentivize investment from them. We need to incentivize entrepreneurship from them and provide them with the platform so that they can come and invest and create jobs for all of us Canadians here, and also at the same time grow the regional and the municipal and the federal economy so we can continue to be a great and prospering country in the future. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the message and will share this message as well. And if you have any feedback, I am all ears. Look forward to making more videos like this, and have a blessed holiday season. Take care, guys. Bye for now.